Good day, sailors and starnauts. This is Captain Garrett with Swords and Starships, and I'd like to give you my thoughts on The Pale Blue Eye, a spine-tingling period piece based on a novel about a young Edgar Allan Poe working with a detective to solve a murder mystery at the U.S. Military College. Is this movie any good? It's been much anticipated, and I've heard a lot of good things about it, and I was excited to fire it up on the old Netflix and see what I saw. And I especially love this era, early American history, early 1800s. It was a really fascinating time before the Industrial Revolution completely changed the agrarian life that the country used to have to the industrial life, and then later the sort of 9 to 5 corporate life that we all know today. And I really wanted to like this film, and I was quite excited to get into it. At first, I was pretty into it. There was a great film years ago called From Hell, and Johnny Depp in the film plays a detective on the trail of Jack the Ripper. Has Ian Holm in it. It's just a fantastic movie. It's probably got a few camp moments, but it's from a bygone era. And it sort of posits a fictionalized theory about who Jack the Ripper was, which is actually quite inventive and fun in the story. And this film gave me kind of reminded me of that at first. I was intrigued by the idea of an early forensic detective who's really good at what he does. I regret to tell you that I turned it off after about 30 minutes, and I just got insanely bored. And interestingly, I can pretty much tell you the moment where really I was certain I probably was not going to finish this film. Shockingly, it's right about the time Edgar Allan Poe shows up. He's played by an actor who looks the part, Harry Melling. I don't understand this portrayal of the Edgar Allan Poe character at all. It's silly, it's over the top. It's so trying to charm you that it's kind of repellent. He has this very flamboyant, over the top flair. You know what he's like? He's like an almost foghorn leg because he has a southern accent. So the Edgar Allan Poe in this story has this almost foghorn leghorn level, this like Colonel Sanders caricature level of, oh, why, he's the Virginia gentleman, and he's on the case to solve, and we must solve it, and we must tell poems while we solve it. And he's just so animated all the time. And I have to say, I could be wrong about this, but my impressions of who Edgar Allan Poe as a man was, historically, was that he was a bit of an odd duck, didn't really fit in with society, probably was cerebral. I admit, I don't actually know. I haven't read a lot. I've read his work, but I haven't read a lot about his personality per se. I haven't read like what did contemporaries, what was their impression of him? Was he like that? Was he flamboyant and outgoing and talkative? Maybe this is how Edgar Allan Poe was. Maybe he really was like this. All I know is somehow this portrayal, his dialogue, it's annoying, it's over the top, it's melodramatic, and it stands in very strange contrast to the more measured and grounded performance of Christian Bale's character. The little fun and games section of collecting clues is at first pretty interesting, but then it just keeps on going. Oh, what's this? A scrap of paper that he was holding. Oh, this other person said they knew him. What's this? It turns out they had an argument over a girl, and it just goes on and on and on. And you get the feeling that the film is trying to set up some kind of giant, great, deep mystery, revelation, conspiracy, and I just couldn't care less. I just couldn't be bothered to care. That the investigation isn't that interesting. It's pretty boring. It's nothing we haven't seen before. The only thing about this film I really like is the setting. The setting is brilliant, and the actors, except for the Poe actor, I'm sorry, Harry Melling, but it's not working for me. Everyone else in the show is pretty good. Pretty good. I am your cryptologist. I will solve this problem, because what would a man say in that situation? I will tell you what he would say. I swear to God, that's how Poe is in this movie, and it drives me absolutely nuts. So I stopped watching it at 30 minutes, and I'm deeply saddened to have to report this to you because I love a good early 19th century period piece, and it recreates the era pretty beautifully. Good production value, some fine actors, very bizarre portrayal of Edgar Allan Poe. Have no idea if it's historically authentic or not. Whether it is or not, it's odd and weird and not at all what I would imagine in an Edgar Allan Poe story. It does not feel even slightly like an Edgar Allan Poe story. That's probably the thing that most irritates me about this portrayal is that the film itself, the crime in itself in the film should have the mood and the mise en scène of, yes, I know that's a $6 film word, and I paid very good money to fail out of college to learn that word so that I could use it and feel superior for being able to use it. It should have the mise en scène of an Edgar Allan Poe story, like the fall of the House of Usher. You know, there's no real jump scares in that one, but it's basically just a film that will leave you with a kind of just dread, just an overwhelming existential dread that you can't even really put your finger on. That's an Edgar Allan Poe story. You feel unsettled, you feel a sense of dread and foreboding. You feel as if you're being watched. You know, it gives you all those feelings and you can't exactly always say why. This film has none of that. It really doesn't. I think they would have done well, the filmmakers and writers, to have read a bunch of Edgar Allan Poe before they finished this project. It's an odd and fairly banal police procedural with an over-the-top author character who is not at all, in my view, necessary to the story. If, on the other hand, you decide that after that 30 minutes you want to watch more of The Pale Blue Eye, well, I bid you fair winds and following seas, my good sailors and star nauts. And I do hope you enjoyed this video and my thoughts on The Pale Blue Eye. And if you did like the video, please do like and subscribe. And I will see you out there. Make sure to check out my novel series, Blood and Oak. It's available now on Amazon. It follows the sword and sails adventures of midshipman John Sullivan. When his sister is kidnapped and sold into slavery by the Barbary pirates, this daring young Navy officer embarks on a suicidal quest for rescue and revenge. It's available now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and a fantastic audiobook narrated by Travis Baldree. I'm not just giving commentary and commenting on the problems in entertainment. I'm doing my best to be part of the solution, and I would be truly honored to earn your readership and your support. Until then, I say hail to you, hail to the fellowship, and hail to the Iron Age of entertainment.